Now let's talk about using the Service Items Master. So what we're going to do is click on Setup, go down to Service Items Master, and the first thing I want to do is go ahead and click Search. So the Service Items Master is your main function that stores all of your billable services that you will pick during the turn-in process and that you will bill for clients. What you're looking at here, since I clicked searches, I wanted to show you everything that RB automatically displays. And there are a couple things to note. You will see service groups 1, original, all the way through service group 8, attendance. And these are fixed groups. Fixed meaning the service items are fixed and you cannot modify or add to those particular groups. Now you may be asking yourself, well, what about all of my other charges? Yes, these are for the transcript billing, the exhibit, and the appearance fees, but what about my production items? What about all my video charges? What about all my real-time charges? What about my deliveries? Well, all of those items, you will create them under a number 9 group, which is down here, further down, called miscellaneous charges. So every single service item that you create inside of RB9 will be a miscellaneous charge. Now, let's go ahead and go through the process of creating a new service item. So what we're going to do is we're going to click New at the top right, and you'll be taken to the New Service Item screen. And as you can see here, the service group is set at number 9 miscellaneous charge, and I cannot make any changes to that. So what we'll want to do here is first go to the right and pull the drop down for Service Subgroup. And what you want to do is you want to choose a subgroup that this particular service item will belong to. So the subgroup, you can basically look at it as if is a category. So what category of service item it belongs to. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to set up rough draft, and that will be a production service item. So I'm going to choose production as my service subgroup. The next field is the service item name, and this is the most important part of the service item setup because it is the required field, and the name that you give this particular service item is what you will see when you're going through the turn-in process, and it's also what your clients will see on the actual invoice. So make sure you're typing it in exactly how you want it to read. Now the unit type over to the right is another field you can pull the drop down on and select. And in this case, rough draft is billed at per units, and that would be pages. So I would select pages here. So some service items you create will have a unit type, some may not. So you do not have to have a particular unit type for everything. If a service item does have a unit type after it, and you do itemize your invoices, and you show the actual pages with the billing rate, then RB will print the actual unit type after the number of units that is set. So that way it gives your client an idea of, it's 100 units of something, but it can say 100 pages. You know exactly what the unit is. Now for the account number right here, we'll pull the drop down and we'll choose our production account. And now let's talk about the billing rate and the pay rate and everything down here. Now, do I set a billing rate and a pay rate? The short answer is maybe. You can. Now, would I set it if I bill the rough draft at a different price for different clients or for different billing instances? Well, then no. And the reason why I say no is because when you're creating your service items master items, and then when you create your billing rates after this, your billing rates will inherit everything that you set up here, including these dollar figures for billing rate and pay rate. So if you bill a service item at the same price across the board no matter what, or if you pay it at the same across the board no matter what, then it's okay to put the pricing in here, because then when you create those new billing rates, the pricing will automatically be set. But again, if it does vary and you're going to have to set it up in each billing rate anyways, then there's no point putting it in here, because when you do create those billing rates, you're going to have to set the price at that time for this service item. Minimum billing refers to if the item is billed for and does not reach a certain amount, should there be a minimum. You can put that amount here. And RB would use the minimum instead of what the calculated billing amount would have came out to be, because it did not reach the minimum. Now let's talk about these checkboxes down here. Bill rush applicable and pay rush applicable. You can check these boxes if the service item that you're billing for can have the addition of the rush amount added on. So if you do like a 2-day expedite usually, and it's for your original in one, well, usually we add the surcharge to that service item. But we give you the opportunity here to also have that be true for your miscellaneous charges. Now, most of you will not have this checked because the only thing that you do upcharge is the actual transcript itself when it comes to the delivery. So you can usually just ignore those two. If you do bill for any tax, go ahead and check these boxes for the service items that should be applicable for the tax. If you give a client a discount, then the system can generate a discount every time you bill a client, and it will give them a discount on the service items that you check discountable. So 1, the firm must have a discount percentage in their setup. 2, you must tell RB which service items are discountable, because if nothing is discountable, and even though you may have put a discount percentage in the firm setup, then RB will still calculate no discount because you did not check anything discountable. Pointable if you are doing the reward points, and this could be added as part of the revenue for the points. If you do client of commissions or sales rep commissions, and your sales reps or your reporters who bring in clients, they should get credit for rough draft in this example, and it should be a part of their extra commission, then you could check these boxes. The next options are show text on invoice and show amount on invoice. And those are basically, if you want the text, that'll be the name of the service item. And if you want the amount, that will actually be the billable amount. So if you do want to disclose the name of the service item and the amount on the invoice, then you can check those two boxes. Show on web orders. This is for RB Connect. This would be the contact side of RB Connect. When they could do services requested, your clients when scheduling a job, if you check this box, this would be shown as a service they would be able to request. So you choose which service items your clients can request to order. The next one over to the right is show in web turn-in. This is for the resource side of RB Web. And if you allow your resources to turn in their jobs via RB Connect, then again, you decide which service items they can actually add to the orders. So anything you want them to be able to add, obviously check this box. And the last option here is show on production sheet. So in RB9, under the production menu, there is a report called production sheet. And that particular report will show you everything that a client is ordering on a job-by-job basis that needs to be produced, where production physically needs to do something. So you decide again, between each order of everything ordered on an invoice, you decide which items will show up on that production sheet. Not everything needs to show up on the production sheet. Only things where production has to actually do something. So like rough draft, for example, anything transcript related, even delivery related. If I had an appearance fee service item, I would not show that on a production sheet, because what does production have to do with an appearance fee? And then lastly down here, if you do leads 1990 EB format export invoices, then you can fill out this information down at the bottom. Once you're done, click save, and then save and close. And you can basically see now, if I go over to my production subgroup, I now have rough draft here. So you can kind of see too, the whole point of selecting that service subgroup first. So again, that was this thing right here, is because what RB will do is it will group all service items, all your miscellaneous charges, by that like subgroup, and it will alphabetize them for you. So it makes it easier for you to find all of the service items that are tied to the same category or subgroup. And we'll put them in alphabetical order. If we didn't have any kind of subgrouping, think about how messy that could be, and you could just have basically service items, miscellaneous charges in this example, just alphabetize A to Z, and we wouldn't be able to see all the production items grouped together. And that'll do it.